This is Tommy from Richmond Comics.
And this is Travis from Checkpoint Ahead.
And we are here with our picks of the week. I'm going to start off this week and talk about Brian Wood. He is one of my favorite writers in comics. Anyone who's ever talked to me knows DMZ is one of my favorite books of all time. He is doing a book called Rebels, which is set during the American Revolution. He's telling what is essentially true stories. This is almost a non-fiction comic book. He's admitted that some of the time frames he's smushed together a little bit to make everything fit a little better. But he is telling stories from the American Revolution. A number of years ago, he did the same thing with Vikings, with a book called Northlanders, where each story arc is completely separate and in no way needs to be read chronologically the way it's written. You can, like, the issue that came out this week is a one-off. You can read this first. You can read this last. It doesn't matter. It fits by itself as just a story about the American Revolution. And not only is it a story about the American Revolution, it is a story about female empowerment. The title of this story is Beware the Bookish Woman. And what is going on is that a young lady is a printing press that she owns, and she's putting up flyers basically calling out the British on their tyranny. And this is set about 5 years before the Boston Tea Party. So, of course, she gets captured and things go badly. But there's a really interesting scene in here where she is in prison, which prison is a little different back in the Revolutionary War era. But she's kind of like walking the prison grounds, talking to Benjamin Franklin's sister, who she apparently corresponded with a lot during her time in prison. So, I don't even know what else to say about this book. It's a beautiful glimpse at some American history that is often overlooked. You know, we talk a lot about the Civil War,
right,
which is awful, and so many people died, and it was us fighting ourselves.
Yeah.
And this is from an era where we felt that we could be better as a nation, and it's, you know, the stories are often bleak because it's Revolutionary War era. There's no indoor plumbing. Everything is awful.
And that's the worst thing about that era.
But it also, they're kind of stories of hope. You get to see these people from our past do these incredibly heroic things, and they're just people. So anyway, I will stop going on about Rebels. But
just a question, actually. The woman on the cover who's doing this, is she Native American?
They don't tell you. When she's being interrogated, the British officer asks her if she's a half-black or if she's Native American, and she refuses to tell him.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it is... she's not Caucasian.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on with her, she is fighting for freedom on many arenas at the same time. And it's an impressive book. Just this one issue. Even if you don't want to pick up the entire run... this one $4 comic, just go buy it. It's so good.
Yeah, I do like the idea of being able to just pick up a comic and not have to worry about the 12 issues beforehand or however many it's been.
The first 6 issues of this book were a single narrative about the Green Mountain Boys, which were a bunch of Revolutionary War era fighters up in Vermont, which is where Brian Wood is from. And then issue 7 is a standalone story. Issue 8 is a standalone story. And it's brilliant writing, and it's a fantastic look at our past.
Awesome. Well, for my pick of the week, mine I don't think is a true story.
I hope it is.
I really hope it is. In this case, it's all new, all different Avengers #1. The first page it kind of confused me a bit. It pretty much just opens up with Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, pointing at Sam Alexander, saying, "You're a jerk." And then I turn the page, and it's like the next couple pages are completely unrelated to that, so I have no idea what's going on there. But in the opening pages, we have Sam Wilson, and he's saving a car from falling off a bridge like superheroes usually do. And there's a great moment where after he saves them, there's some Girl Scout people. Girl Scouts? Yeah, that's what they're called.
Yeah, basically. They're Girl Scouts.
They come up and they're like, "Hey, you want to buy some of these cookies?" Which he's like, "Yeah, I've got a 5. Unfortunately, there's like 6 different girls, so all the people in the crowd are like, "Which one's he going to choose? Which one's he going to choose?"
And straight out of what is going on in the real world,
yeah.
everything he's doing is being filtered through the lens of it's all racially motivated.
Definitely, which also fits in with Captain America's solo series, Sam Wilson Captain America. There's a great part in here where all the crowd's congratulating him, and one person's like, "Not my Captain America,"
Yeah.
which is directly out of like people in real life who say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically it's really just an issue of the whole team coming together. Sam Wilson meets up with Iron Man, who flashes his empty wallet, saying you can't help him out with those Girl Scout cookies. He ends up getting a ride, and they drive past the old Avengers Tower, which has since been sold by Tony Stark to a dude who I originally thought was Doom, but I'm thinking no.
Well, the green tide did make me think he was Doom, but
Right.
apparently he's just random evildoer.
Which is great. Yeah, I love it. But yeah, so basically, this evildoer who owns this tower now brings out, I guess, King Chitauri, the King of Chitauri.
He's some kind of crazy killer warrior guy.
Right, yeah, and he's associated with the Chitauri, who I don't believe were in the comics before this. Am I wrong about that?
Not in the regular Marvel universe. The
Okay.
Chitauri were the ultimate version of the Skrulls.
That's right. Okay, and yeah, in this book though, this giant monster guy comes to this world. He's trying to get revenge on, I think, Nova, because apparently Nova and him had a
that's
run-in
right.
before.
Yeah, in Nova's series, Sam Alexander kind of punked this guy out a little bit and threw him into the sun. I mean, it happens.
One guy.
Sometimes you get thrown into the sun.
Yeah, evil guy and big evil guy is who we're going to call them. They're talking in a room, and they realize that they're being watched, and the reveal is that it's Miles Morales, Spider-Man now. We don't really, since we haven't finished Secret Wars and we haven't started his solo series, we don't really know why he's in this world or anything like that, but they played off pretty...
It doesn't matter. Tony Stark calls him trademark infringement man.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yes, that was fantastic. So Miles goes to investigate these evildoers, at which point he gets blasted out of a window, and Sam Wilson comes by with Iron Man, and Iron Man has this car that is so cool.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if this is his actual armor from his solo series, but the car turns into the Hulkbuster. Or I don't know if it's a Hulkbuster.
It's a new version of the armor.
Yeah, it's like a big
Tony
Iron
Stark's
Man.
driving around a Transformer.
Yeah,
That's all that matters.
Exactly. So they go and they confront this dude, and the dude he just whips him completely.
Yeah, he's a pretty bad dude.
Yeah, Iron Man is visibly melted in this page, so it's pretty rough. And then we go to like a backup story, I guess, of the first time that Kamala Khan and Sam Alexander, Nova, meet each other.
And it's adorable because two awkward teens being awkward.
It was like looking back into high school. It was heartbreaking. Like I was like, oh god, I've been there, dude. Like Mark Waid wrote this like perfectly. For someone who is not or hasn't been a kid probably for a couple of years, he's really good at writing them because I believe everything that they said. But yeah, the whole time, the meeting between them, like they team up, fight a monster, and afterwards, it's just the most awkward thing ever. Like both of them in their heads, they're both super awkward, and it's adorable. It's so adorable. And I don't know if I'm not much of a shipper, but I ship these two guys. So yeah, I'm really excited for the next issue, and I like this new. Obviously not new bad guy, this Chitauri guy, but he's a cool visual, and I like seeing the Avengers go up against someone like that.
Yeah, he's a giant hulking mass of a thing.
But yeah, all different Avengers was fantastic, and you guys should definitely check that out.
And I'll be honest, that's one of the books that since they announced the all different Marvel, that's the one I've been most excited about because I got Kamala, Sam, and Miles all on the same team.
Yeah, and not only that, we've got Mark Waid writing it with the dude from All New X-Men. Oh, I'm gonna butcher his name. Asrar. That's his last name.
Asrar.
In any case, yeah, all around great book, and I can't wait to see the rest of the cast. I just realized that pretty much only 4 of the main cast show up in this book, so
yeah, still no Thor or Vision.
Yeah,
I'm
excited, guys.
So keeping with the all new, all different Marvel, I'm going to talk about Ultimates #1. Now, the title is a little misleading because this is basically the team from Captain America and the Mighty Avengers. Same writer, Al Ewing. I can't remember if Rocafort was doing the art on that or not. I don't think he was, because this book seems much prettier.
Yeah, I feel like that wasn't that Greg Land who was doing that.
Maybe. I'm not
Possibly,
sure.
guys. Look it up.
What matters here is that Blue Marvel talks science for 3 pages, and it is fascinating. He has basically posited the theory that since our universe has been remade, that he has found, I don't understand half of these words, he has found some sort of proof that this is the 8th iteration of our universe. This is the 8th time it has been reborn.
Whoa.
So, what he has decided, and the entire book, this is where they're moving towards, the universal constant in every iteration of the universe is Galactus.
That's amazing.
So, the entire team is working on the problem, what do we do about Galactus? So, the whole thing, it's not until the end of the book that you really understand that Galactus is their end goal. But, I mean, obviously from the cover, Galactus is the end goal. But they don't really talk about Galactus exactly until near the end. But we've got the team is amazing. We've got Captain Marvel, we've got Miss America, Photon, or Spectrum, whatever Monica Rambeau is calling herself these days. Black Panther. They are set up in the Triskelion in New York Harbor, which is now set up in 3 separate sections. One of which is the Wakandan Embassy in New York. One of which is basically the section for this new the Ultimates team. And one for the ground crew for the Alpha Flight program.
What?
Yeah, that's just a throwaway line that Black Panther has. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means we're going to get Alpha Flight, or if it's just, we're not at the beta testing stage yet. We're still at the alpha testing. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
I feel like you can't write Alpha Flight in a comic without having something in your mind.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with this too. But this book is fascinating. It has so much science. And, of course, it's not real science. It's Marvel Comics science.
Right.
But, they're talking about the building blocks of the universe and the universal constants and giant crazy faces that shoot bugs out of them.
Yeah, the art and just everything looks nuts. Yeah. I love it.
It is amazing.
And just based off the roster, it doesn't, this, there's no team in Marvel, or maybe in all of comics that's quite like this. There's one white person and it's a woman. That's crazy.
So they get to Galactus, and Galactus is like, all right, bring it on. Kill me if you can. And they're like, actually, that's not why we're here.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that page with Galactus, he looks fantastic. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And from the cover, I kind of was assuming that Galactus was part of the team.
Well, here's the thing. Blue Marvel says to him, the Ultimates team to solve the ultimate problems, and today we're going to solve yours. What that means, from what I gather, is that they're going to figure out a way to make it so that Galactus is not hungry anymore.
Oh my! I actually just got chills.
How in the world do you do that?
Oh my gosh! And what does Galactus do if he doesn't hunger? What is he there for?
Does he save the universe?
Oh my gosh!
Is he a superhero now?
You know what though? Here's the thing. I've always loved Galactus, and I think I've never seen him as a villain per se. Anyway, just because he's doing what he's got to do. But if they make him a hero, he might just be my favorite character in Marvel.
Well,
he just might become that.
I became a Galactus fan back 1,000 years ago when Walt Simonson was writing Fantastic Four. This was around 1990, I think. 1989, 1990. And he was the first person that really, as far as I can remember, gave the idea that Galactus is a universal constant that must be there. He's not good or evil, he just is.
Exactly.
And I thought that was such a cool idea, that you've got this huge, galactic threat who's really not evil.
Yeah.
He's there.
Which, the fact that Galactus is in this new comic, in the all different Marvel universe, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but in the most recent issue of Silver Surfer kills Galactus, destroys him completely. So I don't know what's going on here. Obviously, there's still more of Secret Wars and more of Silver Surfer, hopefully. to give us those answers. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where they go with Galactus. He, like I said, always been one of my favorite characters.
Well, I haven't been reading Silver Surfer, but if you want to go back a year or two, the Galactus from 616 got shunted over into the Ultimate Universe and sent to the Negative Zone.
Yes, he did.
So,
oh man,
I don't know. They're doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But the Ultimates, if this week's Rebels had not been so amazing, this Ultimates book would have been my pick. It is fantastic.
Awesome. Well, okay. This is very weird for me. Different from what I usually do. I'm reading a DC book, and it's a Superman comic. I don't necessarily have like a dislike for Superman. He's just not really gained my interest too much.
I can tell you, up until recently, I had a serious dislike for Superman.
And I've been well aware of it. This comic, though, Superman American Alien, this is the first issue by Max Landis and drawn by Nick Dragotta. Max Landis, of course, did Death and Return of Superman and also wrote the movie Chronicle, which I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's fantastic. This is drawn, like I said, by Nick Dragotta, who I think draws East of West.
Yes.
And the art in it really fits the story. It almost looks Archie-esque.
Yeah, his style, he kind of, I don't want to say cartooned it up.
Yeah.
But it's not nearly as like hyper detailed and
like East of West is way more. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, this book is basically about Clark. The first one is really him, or the first issue is really about him learning to fly and taking ownership of that. You really get to know a lot of cool things about his parents too, Martha and John Kent. They don't really seem like the, I guess, two-dimensional characters that I perceive them to be in most things.
Right. In every iteration of Superman I've ever seen, pretty much, Jonathan Kent is the stalwart figure who always knows the right thing to say and the right thing to do, and he instills that in Clark, and that's what makes him Superman. And in this, we get to see a man with doubts and fears.
Definitely. And he also, I mean, he just, like, they definitely go younger with him, at least from what I've seen. Like the parents, they seem like they're like just a middle-aged couple who found Clark. There's a really cool scene here with I guess their family doctor. He's basically telling them that like Clark is just putting out radiation. Like it's not harmless, but aren't you like curious? Like don't you want to figure this out? To which Martha is immediately saying no, we're not. You're not going to have him tested on or whatever, anything like that. And Jonathan kind of falls silent to that. So I don't know if that's going to be touched on again.
This was the Archie moment for me.
Yes, that's exactly what made me think of it.
This is where it looks like Archie and Jughead.
Yeah, there's a scene where Clark is talking to Pete
Ross.
Pete Ross, who is white apparently, and I did not know that. I watched Smallville, guys.
Yeah.
In this case, though, Clark and Pete are talking and. Like the teacher just yells at them, and they make this one face that it literally looks like it's from an Archie comic. It's fantastic. Anyway, so basically Clark is going out with Lana and Pete to watch a movie. At which point he loses control of his powers and starts, floating up into the air. Which the people around him are just like, oh, it must have been a gas pocket. I don't know why that was okay for them to reason that. Like, I would be like, no, why did he just fly up in the air? And they're just like, yep, gas pocket, makes sense.
Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas. So really in this book, though, you really see how different Clark feels. And it's weird that I relate to him more in this, even though he is way more different than, like...
Right. But in this, he's got different problems with the powers and whatnot, but he's still a kid. And we all went through that.
Yeah.
We all went through that weird, awkward phase where nothing was right.
Exactly. Some of us are still going through it today.
Our own limbs were against us sometimes. We would trip over thin air and fall down. And Clark's version of that is suddenly he's floating. And can't figure out how to get down.
And there's like the one thing that I really like about this is that Jonathan and Martha are like supporting his abilities. Like Jonathan, there's a point where he just is trying to help him learn to fly. Like he's running through the cornfields with him over his head, and then gets like the truck out, and he's like running around with that. And there's like this old man who's like, goddamn hippies. I don't know many hippies who run through cornfields and trucks, but I guess I don't know a lot of hippies. The moments between Clark and his parents are just the best parts. Like he like I said, I just relate to him so much in these scenes because I've got a mom, I've got a dad. Like all these conversations just they make sense to me. The last couple pages, Clark is in the air again. Jonathan takes a plane up into the air to get him down with this like hook thing, which I feel like how could you think that was a good idea anyway? Like, it just seems dangerous. Basically, he grabs him by the hood and it rips off, and the last page, or not the last page, but one of the last pages is Clark in a blue T-shirt with his tattered red hoodie behind him, hearkening to his future as Superman. But the great thing is at the end, Clark gets really excited about the idea that he can fly now, and he's telling his parents, "We're not going to pay for any vacation. You can go to Timbuktu. We can go to wherever. You'll never have to pay for it."
My kids were that age recently, and he talks like a kid that age.
Yeah.
Who's super excited about this thing.
Definitely, and like the facial expressions, like you can just tell he's really, really excited. The very, very last page is somewhat depressing. In fact, even more depressing now that I just read something else. This is basically a board or a wall in the Kent home that gives you a lot of info about Martha and John. For one, it seems like Martha Kent is on Zoloft and Vicodin and Prozac, which I believe antidepressant drugs, which bummer. And it seems like she had a future in veterinary school, and it seems like John Kent was a esquire, a attorney, which I have only ever known him as a farmer. So it's weird to see that he had the so. To me, what I'm taking of it is that they're giving up these things to take care of Clark, which is really beautiful in my opinion, but also very sad. Also, didn't realize this. There's a chunk of kryptonite on it as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of visual information on this page. There's a lot of like little notes that they've written to each other or from other people. Some of which are just funny little information, and some of which are just deeply, deeply sad.
Definitely.
But it's a really interesting look into like the minds of Martha and John Kent that we don't typically get to see.
Not at all. Yeah, like I said, they seem way more three-dimensional in this.
Like, the only place I've ever seen them with this depth was probably Smallville.
Yeah, and that's because we had so many seasons with them.
Right, we got to see them so much more.
Definitely.
And I feel like the comics have always kind of left them out.
Definitely. And I think it's because, like, I don't know, when you go pick up a comic, I think the majority of people don't want to read about the parents, but that's an interesting part of everyone. That's a part of everyone's life.
Right.
You have to read every aspect of it. There is a cool little Easter egg I just found. Little photo sheet, I guess, from Haley's Circus, which I believe Dick Grayson.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Awesome. I know DC stuff. Anyway, guys, definitely really like Superman American Alien. If you haven't seen Death and Return of Superman from Max Landis, who wrote this comic, it's a fantastic little short video that he kind of goes through the Death and Return of Superman, pokes a little fun at it, but it comes from a good place because he absolutely loves Superman. And when you read this Superman comic, you can really tell. So absolutely check that out.
So I'm going to keep on with the Superman theme here, which seems really weird still.
It does, yeah.
Batman Superman this week. We had a Batman book, and it was good, but it was not this good. Greg Pak, who wrote my favorite Hulk story of all time, Planet Hulk, is killing it on this book. So Vandal Savage has a stockpile of old Russian nukes up in like the tundra, and he's got these slaves that are just pulling the uranium out of these nukes. And Superman has followed a trail of a whole bunch of shenanigans up there, and he is going to save those people. And it's Batman Superman, not just Superman, but he doesn't want help. And in the last issue, Supergirl, Batgirl shows up, and she's like, "Here's the thing about Batman: he didn't do it alone." So it's her, it's Dick Grayson, and it's Red Hood, and they're like, "We're your team. We're helping you."
Whoa, that's teaming up with Superman.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah. So in this book, these are the characters, and they're up in the tundra, and they have decided we're going to save these people from Vandal Savage.
I'm looking at the first page right now with the team lined up, and they just look so cool.
Yeah. Like, Superman has on, like, a puffy winter coat because he gets cold now.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a really cool moment in this book because there's a little kid. It's like a family and some other folks, and they're being forced to get the uranium out of the nukes. And there's this little kid, and he's a scared kid. So Superman shows up, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're bulletproof," and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, "Well, he can't fly anymore, and he doesn't really have heat vision." So there's this cute scene where the kid comes up and he stomps on Clark's foot. And he's like, did that hurt? And Clark was like, nope. So Clark's sitting there and the kid grabs a fork and he looks at him and Clark's like, yeah, whatever. And he's just like, he keeps poking Clark on the shoulder and he's like, did you feel that? Did you feel that? And Clark's like, nope. And then there's one, he's like, yeah, I felt that one. And then the next, like a page or two later, Clark is out sitting by himself. And Red Hood walks up and he's like, hey man, you're bleeding again. And his shoulder is bleeding where that kid was poking him with the fork.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, this is not the Superman that we are used to at all.
Yeah, oh man. Guys, I might have to read more Superman stuff.
I've been saying since post-conversion, Superman is one of DC's best characters.
Fantastic.
And he's working it out where, Batgirl is doing the tech stuff, and Dick Grayson is creating new identities for these people so that, worst case scenario, they go hide. And then he's got Red Hood there who is going to train these guys on how to use whatever weapons they have so when Vandal Savage comes back, they can fight him.
That's awesome.
And this is the team. And these guys are doing everything they can to try and make everything work. And, of course, nothing's really going to work. But there's a thing that Greg Pak can do that not a lot of writers can. And the art really lends itself to it. And let me find this artist. Rob Lay. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He did the lettering. I'm sorry. It's Adrian Siaf and Cliff Richards. I'm not super familiar with either of those guys. But the scene that I was just talking about where Red Hood comes up on Superman, you can feel the exasperation in his voice. You can hear it when you read these words. He is vastly depowered. He's at the point now where he's like, the only way we can beat Vandal Savage is maybe to kill him.
Whoa.
That is not a Superman thought.
No, not at all.
So he's incredibly exasperated, and then they're like, this plan isn't going to work. We got to figure out something else. And Clark's like, yeah, no. I forgot. First, they get into a fight with some shadow creatures that have been chasing him since the end of Conversion. Basically, these creatures have been showing up in Action Comics and in Superman, and in Batman Superman. And he hadn't been able to figure out why, but apparently, something to do with Vandal Savage. So they're dealing with that, and then reinforcements show up, because Clark called Batman.
That's awesome.
So Batman shows up, and he's on the team now. And that's kind of where we leave it. And, oh god, I can't wait till next week or next month, because what they have found is that Vandal Savage is stockpiling energy. Like, these shadow things are what sucked all of Superman's powers out, so they have stolen his power. The first few issues of Batman Superman with the depowered Superman, someone stole what is basically a miniature sun from Wayne Tech, which they just found in the tundra. And there's some crazy Nazi warship that looks like it. I don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
that looks amazing. I mean, aside from the Nazi part.
Yeah, Vandal Savage he's up to no good. There are shenanigans.
He always is. And Vandal Savage is like, I'm not a huge DC guy. Like, there's few characters and stuff that I follow, but Vandal Savage is one of my favorite villains from them. I think that's a really cool idea for a character, and I really look forward to seeing him on Legends tomorrow.
Well, I don't know which version of Vandal Savage you're going with. My favorite version is the one from when Renee Montoya took over as Question.
Okay.
And it was, we kind of learned this around Final Crisis, which I don't recommend that. Final Crisis is awful. However, Final Crisis Revelations, which is the book about Vandal Savage and Renee Montoya, where we learn that Vandal Savage is the biblical Cain. And that is why he is immortal.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa. That's crazy. I like that version as well. I mean, the one I'm familiar with is, this was from the Justice League cartoon by the guys who did the Batman animated series. But he was just like a caveman who was like sleeping next to a meteorite, and then he just became immortal. But I like the visual of him having like really large hands and like being caveman-esque, but being super smart and horribly evil.
Well, and just because he's immortal, like this plan with the Russian nukes, That was part of the disarmament program back in the 80s with Reagan
Oh wow.
and Gorbachev. So this is like long-term planning. Like I don't know what he's doing, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's like I said, Superman recently. That's crazy how cool he's been. I didn't know he lost all those powers too, so I'm definitely gonna check that out. My book of the week is Secret Wars #7, or my next book of the week rather, because this book is still coming out, guys. I know it's been a while.
Yeah.
When I got it in my box, I was just like, "Whoa,
It's
this
the
is here?"
next to last to the next to the last issue.
Exactly. So in this, though, we're following with this mysterious prophet who has been leading people to Doom's door to
And
start a revolution.
I feel like I've missed a little bit because I'm not reading the Age of Apocalypse books,
Yeah,
and I feel like a lot of this has been happening in Age of Apocalypse.
definitely. And also, like, I feel like there's, just in general, I feel like I need to read more of the tie-ins because it seems to me that things are happening in those that I need
know.
to
I
read.
said to you before you read it, I said read Thor's first, and you were like, "Oh, I'm not reading Thor's."
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because there's a bunch of stuff in here that really ties heavily into the Thor's book.
It seemed like the Thor stuff in this book was continuing from something else anyway. Like when I read it, I was like, what did I miss?
Yeah, it's from the Thor's miniseries.
Well, anyway, we're opening up with, like I said, that prophet. It's revealed in pretty much the second page to be Maximus, the Mad. I'm assuming it's the Maximus who came on the
Yes.
arc or whatever it was called. Basically, Doom's remaining like generals, which I think is Sinister, Maestro, Goblin Queen, and Apocalypse. They're all trying to protect Doom. There's this one part where I don't actually know why it happens, but it seems like all the barons just turn on each other. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see what instigates it, honestly. Maybe just because they all think that they're awesome or whatever.
Well, they all hate each other.
That's clear. The Sinister
It's hilarious.
Sinister kicks the crap out of Madeline Pryor and mentions that he cannot stand the tacky outfit that she's wearing. So at that point, Sinister gets his head cut off by a guy. Holocaust. Okay. Holocaust. From Apocalypse's realm. Apocalypse then goes up to Mr. Sinister and just talks to his decapitated head, and just Mr. Sinister's decapitated head talks back. We then catch up with the Thors. Like we mentioned earlier, the comic Thors definitely leads into this. But in it, basically, the Thors realize that they need to, Doom is not God. They need to rise up and they need to, take back this place. That starts a complete brawl between the Thors, all the barons. They're all just going nuts. And then Maestro shows up, and he just he brings a squad of Hulks.
It's raining Hulks.
It's so cool. Like literally, like at least 10 Hulks. Probably more than 10 Hulks. Definitely more than 10 Hulks, guys. But in any case, we already have a bunch of Thors. Now there's a bunch of Hulks. Like it's just like my favorite part from the first Avengers movie over and over again. We then catch up with the Reed Richardses. The Richardses. Two of them. Ultimate and normal. Ultimate still seems like he's up to no good, like he always is. But basically, they're while Doom is dealing with this onslaught in front of his kingdom, they're going to go in and take the most powerful object in the multiverse, or the most valuable thing in the multiverse. After that, we meet up with T'Challa, who is communicating with Reed. Last issue, T'Challa got the Infinity Gauntlet, so at least as far as I'm concerned, he's the most powerful character in the Marvel Universe right now.
In this, Namor is the biggest smartass ever.
I just cannot, like, how are you asking for it, Namor?
Right.
Like,
right.
What? If I punch somebody in the face, I'm not gonna like keep asking for it afterwards. Like I know that I'm gonna get punched in the face next. I'm not gonna be like, oh man, does your face hurt? Like that must suck. God, Namor. So T'Challa honestly he just takes it like a champion. He's just like, I think at this point he's just done with Namor. He's just like, okay, Namor is a dick. Like whatever. I'm gonna ignore him.
So where we're at right now in Secret Wars is a thread that Hickman started with T'Challa early in his run of New Avengers, where T'Challa is king of the realm of the dead.
Yes.
Which, if you go back to those issues in New Avengers, T'Challa, part of Wakanda, is a kingdom of the dead. It's almost like they built Wakanda on top of the old Wakanda.
Yeah.
And T'Challa would go down there, and we find out that T'Challa's not just a symbolic king of the dead. He's king of the dead.
The dead. Basically, the shield, keeping the dead from the rest of the world. Not just the dead, but, the zombies. T'Challa opens that place up. He just breaks a hole in the wall and is like, hey, you're going to come with me. You're going to listen to me. I'm your leader now, basically. And they're responsive. They're like, yeah, we probably should. And then there's like a zombie MODOK who's like, but maybe it's not a good idea.
He's like, we should talk about this first.
Which promptly gets him a trident to the face. By Namor.
The other zombies are like, well, I'm not sure why I think it's such a good idea, but it seems like a good idea.
Yeah, we should probably do this.
We're going to do this thing.
So the last page is T'Challa standing before a league of zombies, and they're all just shouting glory and honor. So it seems like he's just going to lead an army of zombies to Doom's Door, which I'm very okay with.
Yeah,
that.
it seems really awesome. And the next issue, the preview for the next issue, the cover is Giant Ben Grimm fighting Galactus.
Yes, and it's yep, it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
Alex Ross just does this beautifully.
Yeah.
But yeah, Secret Wars, obviously you guys are probably already reading it, but this issue definitely remains as cool.
And I would recommend that even if you're not reading the rest of Thor's, pick up Thor #4 and read it before Secret Wars.
Yeah, I mean,
it adds
again,
a lot to the story.
I haven't read it yet, but it did seem like I was caught in the end of a scene or something.
And that's part of why, Thor's is one of those books that it's taken forever to end because they had to push it back.
Yeah.
Because this hadn't come out, so it was such a pain.
Definitely.
All right, so I'm gonna go on with my my Cain and Abel. There's a new book out from Jason Aaron this week called The Goddamned, and that is not a curse word. It is his actual state of being, because the character in this, and this is 1600 years after Adam and Eve were thrown out of the Garden of Eden, and Cain wakes up in basically a field full of feces and mud, and is being urinated on by a one-armed kid. And the kid's like, why aren't you dead? They stabbed you and you've been face down in the mud all day. Why aren't you dead? And Cain's just like, where are my pants? He's just rolling around naked. And the book, it is ultra violent. He goes and finds the people that stole his gear and left him for dead, and he just rolls up in their camp naked and kills everyone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, I haven't read it. I'm looking at it as he turns the pages, and it is super gory, and also it just looks dirty.
It is.
It looks really dirty.
It does.
Crazy.
Yeah. He just walks up and lets them stab him so he can take the whatever weapon out of his body and kill them with that weapon.
Oh my god. And he's immortal.
He's immortal. He's Cain.
He can do it.
Which it's just ultra violent.
And he seems like he's legitimately naked through most of this book.
Yeah. For the vast majority of it, he is naked. And he is trying to find a way to die. So he's basically wandering the earth searching out monsters and madmen to try and kill him. And it's not working out so good. But the big reveal at the end is that also wandering the earth at this point is Noah looking for animals and building an ark.
Wow.
So I'm not sure what is going on in this book. It is ultra violent. It's really dirty, and it's filled with biblical references. But it's Jason Aaron. I 100% believe that this will be a phenomenal book. First issue is really good if you like ultra violent, super gory, everyone's dirty.
Yeah.
That man has on no pants.
Yeah. Guys, it was grotesque looking through it. I mean, it seems really cool, and I can already tell it's probably not going to be a book that's for everyone. I feel like it's probably going to ruffle a few feathers, which that happens sometimes. But if you like the gory stuff, if you like biblical kind of things, then it seems like this is going to be a good book, and I'm going to have to check it out now. I love Jason Aaron, everything he's done, really. Star Wars, Southern Bastards, all that. So. Yeah. Really.
Speaking of Southern Bastards,
right? Perfect segue.
What a segue!
Yeah. Sadly, alas, my next book is not written by Jason Aaron, but it is Southern Bastards, which was created by Jason Aaron. This particular issue, however, is written by his artist Jason Latour. We have a guest artist, Chris Brunner, who his art style really fits the book. It's not too much of it's not jarring in any way. It it really seems like it fits along with the rest of
Yeah,
the.
I'll be honest. I was halfway through the book before I realized it was a different artist.
Same here. I honestly didn't really notice it until we got to that really crazy.
The dream sequence.
The dream sequence,
Yeah.
which that I was like, oh, I have to go look and see who this was. But this book basically, or this issue, follows the coach boss's. I guess it's his assistant coach.
Assistant coach
at this point. Yeah. So his name is Materhead, and he's the guy. Him and Esau Goins, one or the other, are the guys who beat up the little boy from the earlier issue with Earl Tubb, the little boy who. He's definitely not all there up top, but we see him in a bed, hospital bed.
Yeah, this kid is messed up.
Yeah, he's not responsive in any way, and we follow Materhead throughout it, and we're realizing that it seems like he's kind of starting to feel bad. And one thing I think is really cool that they bring up in this, he mentions that dog was around when he did that to the kid, and the dog. If you guys have been reading Southern Bastards, you know what I'm talking about. He's been on He's definitely been in almost every issue, I would say, right?
At least a panel or two.
Yeah, even if it's just a brief moment, and it kind of basically this guy's thinking that when that dog's around, stuff happens. It's bad things.
It's bad juju with the doggy.
Exactly. So anyway, we see him going to visit this boy, the little boy who he personally beat the crap out of, and in this he's talking to his unresponsive body and saying how he's sorry and how Earl Tubb is dead. And at that point, he actually wakes up. The little boy actually wakes up, and he says, "Mr. Tubb, what did you say happened to Mr. Tubb?" And at that point, I wanted to cry because, so sad. And we get into this really cool dream sequence.
Well, keep in mind, this is a kid who's on a lot of painkillers.
Yes, yeah. This is not.
It's a drug-fueled fever dream.
Right, and not just that. He's not the brightest guy to begin with.
Yeah.
He's definitely mentally unstable. Not unstable, but mentally handicapped. In this case, though, he enters this amazing dream sequence, which if I was told this was going to be in a Southern Bastards issue, I would not have believed it, because it's a totally crazy off the wall dream sequence
and they obviously couldn't use the actual character, but there's a cartoon character talking to him that is obviously Foghorn.
It's definitely he even speaks like him.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. He's got these awesome shades on though, which I guess is to keep Warner Brothers off their backs. But yeah, he goes into this amazing dream sequence. The colors, everything about it is ridiculous. And in this dream, he's basically talking about how he's going to bring down Coach Boss. He's upset that his pal Earl Tubb died. So that's kind of his goal here. We leave that dream sequence only to catch up with Materhead and Esau. And they're just prepping for the big football game against Wetumpka High, which... Whenever I say that word, it makes me think of King of the Hill for some reason.
Sounds like something Boomhauer would say.
Exactly. Wetumpka. Anyway, so the little boy's back at what I presume is his house, or though it might be Earl Tubb's house. And he looks outside and he sees this dog who's just ripping a chicken to shreds. And he goes out there and he sees a pack of these dogs. I'm not sure what significance this is just yet. But at the very least, I'm terrified for this boy, and I hope he makes it out alive.
Yeah, it does. It does end on the "is this kid gonna get eaten" cliffhanger.
Yeah, there is a bunch of dogs, and they all have glowing red eyes and look real mean. So this book, if you guys aren't reading it already, definitely read it. It's fantastic, and I think this is the second to last issue of the current arc, so it's wrapping up pretty soon. But definitely amazing.
All right, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and head back over to All New, All Different Marvel. With if this book had more Spider Ham, it might have been my pick.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, there was the Spider Ham that was in this issue of Web Warriors was delightful.
Yeah, he had great moments. He had fantastic moments.
I really needed more of it. So, interesting thing that's going on in this book is that they're giving us the idea that it's not just the spiders that can travel the web.
Right.
Let me back up. For those of you who have not read Spider-Verse, or you haven't read the Spider-Verse miniseries going on in Secret Wars, there's a web that connects all realities to each other, and these spiders have learned how to navigate that web. That's the gist of it. So, the Brian Braddock from some other Earth, I forget which one, who is Spider-Man of that Earth, is putting together a team, and it's him, it's Peter Porker, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Gwen, Mayday Parker. Is it Aranya?
I think
Anya.
she's called Anya, or her
Anya.
superhero identity is Spider.
She's Spider-Girl she's the 616 character on the team.
Yes.
And then the Indian Peter Parker, whose name I cannot pronounce.
It's Provid. Nope.
Yep,
I'm done.
can't do it.
Sorry, guys.
Do it. Book kicks off, and they're in the old 60s Spider-Man cartoon.
And
where,
it's stylized perfectly.
Oh, it is. It is. And it's one of those things where, Spider-Gwen has fought the Lizard before, and it took a lot to take him down. In this, one punch, a blazing orange light, and he's out cold.
Is he dead? Is what she says, which I think is great. Did I kill him?
And then there's a beautiful moment. I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah,
because
don't.
it is.
It's so good.
There's a beautiful moment right before they leave, where Gwen meets the Spider-Man of this world.
Anybody who's familiar with
the internet.
The internet. Yeah, anybody who's familiar with the internet is going to get a real kick out of this one.
Yeah, it's really funny. But anyway, they go back to their hub, for lack of a better term. Everybody's like, all right, let's split up and go do lunch or whatever. But what we learn is that the Electros can also travel the web.
Of all the villains, too. It's Electro.
And we've got a bunch of Electros, one of which I am pretty sure is the movie version of Electro.
It seems like he's very smart, which I think is a quality, for the movie version. I don't think he was a scientist in the comics, but in the movie, I remember him being like a scientist, or whatever. And he seems very smart.
Yep. And so there's a bunch of different versions of Electro. We have a nice moment between the Indian. I'm just going to keep calling him the Indian.
Spider-Man India. I think that's
Spider-Man India. Yeah, that was the name of the book.
Right.
And Noir, where they talk about the Braddock Spider-Man and how his entire world was completely annihilated. And so he's basically all alone and sad. And that's why he keeps calling everyone to go on training missions. But there's some cool stuff with the Electros, and they are way more powerful than you typically see Electro.
Definitely, and their web is like electricity web. Like that's their web that they can travel upon.
And there's a whole bunch of really interesting looking versions of Electro in the web.
Yeah, I really like. I'm gonna lose him now.
There's like a punk.
That's
rock.
the one. Yep, punk rock Electro. He's the best.
Yeah, there's a Cortez era helmet Electro.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's very weird.
There's Dragon Electro, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a Iron Fist looking Electro. I don't know. There's a lot of Electros. And then we get a backup story with the Lady Spider, who this is like the steampunk version of.
Who actually does not have spider powers, if I remember.
She does not. She does not. But she is the spider totem from this particular world, and she's gotten mixed up with the Black Cat of that world. And it ties into the main story.
Yeah, with basically the Electros, if I'm remembering correctly, they're after Silver.
Yes, they're looking for Silver.
We don't really know why.
Yeah. I don't know if they are, going to the werewolf planet and really need some offensive capabilities. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that the backup story is definitely tying into that. So it makes me think that, Lady Spider is going to show up in this issue, or in part of the team.
Well, I think what we're going to see with this is, it's a big team already.
Definitely.
But I think we're going to see them working with other spider totems from other universes.
There's one that I need from the original. Well, actually, there's a few. Actually, I could go on all day.
Yeah, the Spider-Verse was real good.
But in any case, Spider-Punk, I loved him. I thought Hobie Brown as a Spider-Man was great, and I thought the punk angle was awesome. Beyond that, I think that the Spider-Man, like the little Asian girl who got in the robot, I thought she was awesome.
Yes.
Spider
Drive.
Spider Drive, yes. You always correct that. I love it. And Spider-Man. I want more Spider-Man. But yeah, no, Web Warriors was fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
I love Spider-Man anyway.
Yeah.
And the way that they've been writing Spider-Ham.
Yeah, there's a really funny. What does he say when he's eating this sandwich in the last page? And he's like, chicken parm.
That's kind of his thing. He's constantly eating something.
Yeah, which
usually bacon.
It makes But guys, he's a higher level of life than pigs on our Earth, so it's okay. Yeah, no, I love Web Warriors, and anybody who's reading Spider-Gwen is going to get a double dose of Spider-Gwen in this book as well.
Yeah, it's quite good.
So my final book of the week is a book by Image. It's Descender. This is by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. Awesome. Did not know that. This is kind of the start of a new arc. Basically, we open following this robot hunter. Basically, he's going around and just killing robots. He's got a really cool visual, crazy mask on his head, hooded figure. He looks very mysterious. After that, we catch up with our main cast: Tim 21, Dr. Kwan, and Captain Telsa, not Tesla.
Yeah, I always in my head.
It's so hard. Yeah,
Tesla.
it just switches them around. Yeah. But basically, they meet up with the or what are they called? The Hardwire. The Hardwire is this group of robot. I don't know. I guess robot vigilantes. They're going around and like saving other robots, and also killing any organics because organics kind of have it out for them.
Vigilante terrorists, baby.
There you go. Yeah, robot terrorist was probably a better thing to do. We meet Tim 22, who is like Tim 21 if Tim 21 was just like a sociopath. Like he's no emotions at all, and he promptly murders this dude at the request of his superior, I guess. The Hardwire, though, they're basically like Tim 22 or Tim 21. You're coming with us. No discussions or whatever. Meanwhile, Captain Telsa is basically saying, no, he's not going with you. He's staying with us. And Tim 21 doesn't even want to go with them. He just wants to find his little brother, Andy. And he knows that Telsa has promised him to help him with that. There's a really funny part where Dr. Kwan, after getting he got his hand cut off. And he's there just saying, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And Telsa just says, shut up. Like, she doesn't even care about his pain. He's got one arm. But to be fair, he's kind of been a whiny guy throughout this entire book.
Yeah, he really has.
So, not too much sympathy for him. I mean, yeah, sorry, guy. You lost your arm. So anyway, we catch up with our robot hunter guy. And I think most people are probably going to see where it's going as the story goes along.
Yeah, the big reveal at the end,
it's not much of a reveal. I think people knew.
Yeah.
I think you're going to know when you read it. But basically, you find out that this robot hunter is Andy, Tim 21's little brother. And when he hears about this, Tim unit, he's immediately, I'm taking it. I'm going after this mission. He gets to where I think is when we first met Tim 21 in the very beginning of the series. He meets up with that grotesque alien guy, and they are teaming up to find Tim 21. We don't really know what his intentions are. I hope he just wants to be friends with him again. I really hope he doesn't try to kill Tim 21. But, yeah.
He looks angry.
He looks very angry.
He's an angry ginger.
He's got yes. And he had this mask on the whole time, and he takes it off, and I'm really hoping this isn't why. He's got this ever so delicate little scar on his lip. I mean, it's a scar. Like, you see it, it's a scar. But the dude looks like a Final Fantasy character, so if it's about, like, him not being good looking, well then, guys, sorry. But yeah, no. Really, really good book, and I can't wait to see what happens with Andy, the robot hunter. So,
yeah, the book has been consistently entertaining.
Definitely, and I know that it's actually already being made into a movie.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, which just the visuals and the overall story, I can already see.
It'll be like the movie AI, only I won't want to take the robot kid apart.
Exactly. Anyway, yeah, those are our books for the week. I guess we'll move on to some other stuff.
Yeah, man, there's we do this every week, it seems, but there was a ton of great TV.
Definitely.
The show that has impressed me, 3 weeks running now, Supergirl.
Definitely.
I expected nothing from this show.
Yeah.
I really thought it was going to be a terrible... Well, to be fair, when Arrow premiered, I watched it the night it came on so that I could come to work the next day and make fun of it. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, this was good. I don't understand. And I'm kind of having the same thing with Supergirl.
Yeah.
So the main problem I'm having is that I'm really enjoying the show. It's not a great show, the writing isn't top notch. It's not like Joss Whedon put this together.
Right.
This is it's a show that's a little bit of a melodrama, a little bit of a superhero show. They firmly stuck their love triangle in the first episode, and it's
Definitely.
continued into the third now. but this feels like that's the show it should be. It's very reminiscent of the Adventures of Lois and Clark.
Yeah, definitely.
In that it's a workplace drama where one of the people happens to have superpowers. And in this particular iteration, a bunch of people know who she is. She's got her sister who works for the DEO, so everyone there knows who she is.
Her friend...
Her friend, whose name I can never remember.
Nope, but I remember Jimmy Olsen. He knows.
Yeah, Jimmy Olsen knows. Her friend, who is the love interest that she has no interest in, he knows.
Again, guys, though, this is like the best looking Jimmy Olsen I've ever seen.
Right.
Whenever he comes on, it's like this supermodel, and I'm like, what happened to this like whiny redheaded kid? It's fantastic. Yeah, no, I've only up to the second episode, so I haven't seen the most recent one.
Okay.
But yeah, I really dig it. I know we were talking, people online not digging it so much.
I was talking to my boss Philip earlier, and he mentioned that he saw a link to a headline at IO9, which I'm not super familiar with that site. I don't. But the link was something like super negative. Like the headline of the article about Supergirl was incredibly negative, and a lot of what I'm hearing are people talking just crap about the show. And I don't know if it's people who aren't watching the show and they saw like the soapy melodrama trailer for it back in the summer, and they're like, "Oh, that show is garbage."
Yeah.
Because when I saw the trailer, I thought, "Oh, that show is garbage."
Definitely.
But I don't know, man. The internet's where people go to be negative.
Yeah, I guess my thing is, if you're watching it and you're not liking it, stop watching it, first of all. That's my first recommendation to you. If you're not watching it and you're still bashing on it, then to me that just seems like, okay, everyone is entitled to their opinion, and that's great. That's fantastic. But, like, if I don't like someone's shirt, I don't go up to them on the street and tell them I don't like their shirt. And it feels like people are targeting, like, oh, like someone posts on Twitter, I like Supergirl. No one asked you to come in and say Supergirl's terrible. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of that's the problem I have with it, I guess. I just, like, this show obviously isn't going to be for everyone, but if it's not for you, don't watch it, and you don't have to talk about it. Like, that's great.
Yeah, it's one of those weird phenomena that social media has given us, is that everyone likes to go on the internet and just complain about everything. And I know it sounds like we are complaining about people complaining. The irony is not lost on me, but we're trying to do something a little different. Like, if there's a thing out there that I don't like, I don't want to talk about it.
Right, yeah.
I want to talk about the stuff that I enjoy. I want to get excited about what I'm talking about.
But guess what, guys? I enjoy Supergirl, so we're going to talk about it.
I enjoyed every episode. I've enjoyed a little bit more.
Yeah, and another thing I'll say is, if you're watching The Flash and you're not watching Supergirl because you think it's not as good or something, like, to me, The Flash and Supergirl have a similar tone. They definitely feel like they're written by, I guess, with similar thoughts. Obviously, the big difference is, the main character is a woman in one and the main character is a man in the other. They're going to have different scenarios.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I think because we were talking about this before we started recording. There's a lot of hollering about, it's a feminist agenda. And if the feminist agenda is that the female lead is just as cool as the male lead, awesome. I'm on that agenda.
Yeah, I guess don't fully understand what feminist agenda means. Because in my head, feminist just means equal rights for women and men, which, boss. Like, I'm very okay with that. And agenda means a plan, so if it's a plan to make men and women equal, why is this bad? I don't know, guys. You tell me.
Feminism got turned into a dirty word.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird.
It's really bizarre.
I mean, if the show does have an agenda, and maybe it's just to show that, like, we don't have to have a dude in the lead role of everything. Like, and again, I don't see where that's a problem. Maybe it's just me, but, like, I can't see how that would be a problem for someone. It's a fun show too. Like,
yeah, it's a lot.
You're getting your explosions. You're getting your superpowers. You're getting heat vision. And it by the way, it looks better than it has on probably not any TV show, but like Smallville even.
I feel like it's at least as good or better than Smallville.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would actually definitely go better, just because Smallville had some great moments, but the stuff from the first episode in particular, I thought was just really good. Like the
I guess the difference is in Smallville, it was like he was shooting fire.
Right.
And on Supergirl, it's like a laser.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like a blue laser.
Yeah, which was confused by that at first, because I was like, why isn't that red? But I guess, to be fair, heat doesn't have to be red.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I love Supergirl, and I eagerly look forward to the next episode. And I think we talked about this, but it seems like they're not really pulling their punch. Like they're giving you a bunch of stuff already. Like just by the second episode.
Yeah, I expected the whole like. At the end of the first episode, we got the reveal that the mastermind behind all of the crazy supervillains is her aunt, her mom's twin sister. And I was like, all right, well, that's going to be the story arc they stretch out for at least half the season. So we're going to have a whole bunch of episodes where monsters get thrown at Kara. And eventually it's like, haha, cackling villain. But no, second episode.
Yeah.
She shows up and
confronts her.
She's like, didn't expect to see me. And she's like, Aunt, what's your name? What are you doing here? Why are you being a jerk?
Yeah. I really like the actors on the show too. Like the main chick who plays Supergirl, I think is really good.
Yeah.
And then also she's adorable, and whenever she talks, I'm just like, aw.
And see, for me, I'm gonna admit something terrible.
Let's do it.
I've seen all of Glee. And she.
Oh God! You should have prepared me for that before we did this podcast.
Not that it's a good show.
Okay.
I enjoy bad television.
Fair enough.
Okay. But I recognize when it's bad.
Yeah.
And I don't recommend it.
Fair enough.
Now, the only reason I'm mentioning this is that she was on the last few seasons of Glee. And she was awful. And so I know a lot of people who watched Glee and hated her on that immediately would not give this a chance because she was terrible on Glee.
Right.
And I think what we're seeing is what happens when you've got good writers and good directors.
Yeah.
They can take an actress who is maybe, she's young. She's new to the business. I think that the writing and the directing were so bad on Glee that it made her seem much worse than she is because she's delightful in Supergirl.
Yeah, that definitely happens. And I mean, I think also, I believe Glee gave us our Flash, too. I believe the guy who played Flash was in Glee.
He was.
Which, I mean, he's great. And if I had not watched The Flash because he was in Glee, oh my God, I'd be kicking myself. King Shark. But guys... if you're not watching Supergirl because of the Glee thing, that's a mistake. I mean, I haven't seen Glee, so I don't know how bad she was, but I've seen Supergirl, and it's great.
Yeah, it's... I'm going to stop saying it's delightful, because it is, but I use that word a lot.
Yeah, I get you.
Let's talk about something horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, we've gone super sunny and happy. So they announced this week that The Walking Dead has cast its Negan.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful casting.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
So excited. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who you may know as the comedian from Watchmen.
Soon to be Thomas Wayne from Batman v Superman.
And he's also the Daddy Winchester on Supernatural.
Yes.
I'm
very good with casting. I will say he's a bigger name than I thought The Walking Dead would get for something like this. Like all the Walking Dead actors, I pretty much have never seen before what we've seen them in now.
Right.
But Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I feel like I've seen in a lot, and maybe I haven't. He just seems like one of those faces that
he does show up in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like he was on. I'm going to preface this with I did not watch the show, but he was like a big part of Grey's Anatomy for some amount of time.
Yeah, he was on Weeds, and I did watch that show.
I've only seen the first like 6 or 7 episodes.
He was only the dad who was dead in flashbacks, so he did not talk.
He if I remember correctly, he did 1 episode of Angel.
I don't remember that one.
I believe there's an episode where Angel like is trying to help a guy take out this nest of vampires.
I remember it now.
Because his husband was killed by these vampires.
Yep.
And he wanted revenge.
I remember it now.
Pretty sure that was.
That's the exact plot. Yep. But anyway, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I know that they were some of the names I had seen kicked around were like John Hamm. I think I saw. I don't remember his name. He played Blob in X-Men Origins. Kevin Durant.
Oh,
I saw him knocked around. Yeah, he's great.
But I love Kevin Durant because of Dark Angel.
Yes, because he's the lion guy.
He was Joshua.
Yeah.
He was a dog, not a
dog.
lion.
I'm sorry.
He was a dog guy.
Sorry. He was great in that. I believe he was also in Lost, but I think he was pretty.
I watched a season and a half of Lost, and I was in fact lost.
Yeah, I fell real deep into that show, but I don't know a whole lot about Negan.
I think it's Negan.
Negan. I don't know a whole bunch about Negan from the comics. All I know is that, spoiler alert, he killed Glenn. But maybe that's not a problem for the show because it seems like Glenn might already be dead.
Glenn's not dead.
Glenn's not dead. Okay, guys.
Come on. They're gonna drag this out till the finale, but nah, Glenn's not.
And he'll just be coming back with like a machine gun, and he's like got superpowers somehow now.
Well, the main thing about this character is that in the comic, he drops F-bombs constantly. He is the most foul-mouthed character I've ever seen in comics.
Interesting, which we've never heard the F word on The Walking Dead.
No, and I don't think they'll do it. I think they're going to have to calm down his language a little bit, which is unfortunate. I mean, it's understandable, but it's unfortunate because it's such a big part of his character.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe they could just have him, almost say it and then catch himself. And I don't know, maybe it could be some weird tick that he's got where he doesn't want to say the F word because he's trying to be polite, yet he can still kill people.
Well, see, the thing is, he carries around a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire named Lucille.
Oh.
And talks about how sexy she is and the feelings for Lucille that does to his private regions. Yeah, he's a vulgar character, hilarious and evil and violent, but yeah, I'm not.
I think they've got a good guy for the role then. He seems like comedian is. I mean,
he's going to be basically a version of the comedian.
Yeah, because comedian, he's not a good dude. If you guys have seen the movie or read the comic, he's a bad guy.
Oh, you're pregnant? I shot you in the stomach. Yeah.
Alan Moore, why do you do this to me?
He's a bad man.
Alan Moore or comedian?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Speaking of bad men. We've got a Bad Purple Man, a new Jessica Jones trailer dropped this week.
Yeah.
With so much more stuff in it.
Definitely. And some of the, you could see some of the things that the Purple Man was doing.
Yeah.
I can't see how people, I love David Tennant, but I can't see how someone's going to watch that show and not want to see that guy murdered. Because the Purple Man is so bad. The things he does, terrible. But the trailer, I mean, anybody who wasn't already excited should be excited now because the trailer is fantastic.
I am. Oh God, I can't wait. It's too long. And the problem is, I have to work on the weekends, so it'll.
Yeah, I mean, guys, it hits on a Friday. I'm pretty sure, and I don't have to work on the weekends, so I'm going to be binging that all day.
So what happens with Netflix, for those of you who don't know, is that the day it premieres, it pops up at midnight West Coast time. So if you're here on the East Coast with us, it'll be 3 a.m.
Which is super lame because, guys, when Daredevil came out, I didn't know about that. So I was up at 12:01 getting ready to watch the first episode of Daredevil, only to find out it's not there. So hopefully this is a warning for everyone and they don't make the same mistake.
Yeah. I had a couple friends texting me. They're like, why isn't it up yet? And I'm like, it's West Coast time, guys.
Yeah. Oh, God. California.
But anyway... My favorite bit in the trailer was at the end of it, which where Patsy Walker's like, "Oh God, how do you do this every day?" And her response is just whiskey.
Yeah,
I'm like that's a Jessica Jones response right there.
Definitely, and also from the trailer, it looks to be. Maybe this will sound weird coming from me. It looks to be the sexiest show that Marvel's done, or the sexiest thing.
Yeah, there's apparently it's in the first episode or first or second episode, but in the comic, in the very first issue. She and Luke already had sort of a relationship.
Right.
They were friends, and sometimes a bit more than friends, but it was all very casual. And in the first issue of the comic, there is a fairly, not overly explicit, there's no nudity.
It's implied, right?
But it's implied that she was like, you do what you want and do it.
Yeah.
And he does.
Obviously, Obviously, from what I read, it's in an empowering way. She's not it's I don't know. It seems classy from what I've seen. It doesn't seem too.
She's filled with self-hate.
Okay.
And a lot of it is I want to feel something other than what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
Which is that's a pretty classic human emotion.
Yeah, definitely. It reminds me of Buffy with Spike.
Yes, exactly. Same type thing. And then their relationship grows from that into something more.
Yeah.
And from the trailer, what it looks like is that they're going to take the tack that they don't really know each other very well.
Yeah.
That she's going to beat the crap out of his entire bar, and then he's going to be like, so what's up with them superpowers?
Yeah. Yeah, it seems so, I guess this is a complete assumption, but it seems like Luke may not have his powers yet?
Yeah, that is my assumption as well, that he's just a dude that owns a bar, and that we will save his superpower getting for the Luke Cage mini.
Which is going to be interesting to see, someone who who's familiar with superpowers but doesn't have it and then gets superpowers. Like that's going to be interesting to me. Because I don't think we've seen anything like that really in the Marvel universe so far, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. I also heard that Daredevil's going to show up in the first season.
Yes.
I don't know in what way, but
there is. If you go to Comixology, you can download a free. It's like an 8-page comic.
Yeah, it's really good.
And it's a Jessica Jones comic, but most of it's Daredevil.
Yeah, he pops up quite a bit.
The character Turk that was in the Daredevil series in the comic, Turk is in the hospital after running with Daredevil, and Jessica shows up because she's been hired by his baby mama to get some cash. So it's a really nice intro to the series. It incorporates characters that we already know from this universe. So I would recommend. It's free.
Yeah, so, and it's drawn by the original artist.
Yeah, it's Bendis and Gaydos.
Yeah, and it looks like Jessica Jones from the trailer. It looks like that actress.
Right.
Which is really cool.
Which is not too far off from the original.
Yeah, Marvel's really good at their casting.
The main difference is Jessica's hair was slightly lighter in the original series.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't really care about that at all.
Well, I love the girl who's playing her. Kristen Ritter, I think, is fantastic.
I agree.
And Marvel always knocks it out of the park with their casting. There's been one time, I'm trying to think now, but I feel like there's not been one movie or casting choice.
They're probably the best in the business when it comes to casting.
Definitely.
It's really good.
And I think it's just because they know their characters so well.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
What's next, man?
With new Star Wars TV spot. While we're talking about trailers, we hear a lot about people's eyes.
Yes.
So, all right, what rumors have you heard?
Okay. So my brother Nick, our producer, I don't know if it's in that TV spot or if it's in the International Trailer. Trailer?
Yeah, it's like when it's a trailer, but there's 3 of them.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I have to recover from that. Anyway, so he was saying that he heard a line saying something about "This is how hope dies" or something like that. I didn't hear that line. I'll have to go back and watch it again. But his theory was that obviously Hope being a new Hope, which is Luke. His theory is that Luke's going to die in this movie just based off of that, brief snippet of audio, which I think is pretty valid. Like I think it's definitely possible. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're really talking about Luke in this scenario. It seems like maybe they're talking to like the newer generation. So I'm not sure what all that means.
I would not be surprised if we don't get a scene that mirrors Obi-Wan and Vader from A New Hope.
Definitely.
Where Luke is fighting Kylo Ren and he's just like, strike me down.
Yeah.
I'll become more powerful.
Now I definitely see a death happening from the original characters. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure it's going to be Luke just yet. I'm kind of leaning towards Han. Han seems to be the most prominent character from the original trilogy in this movie. Yeah. Like he's been in all the posters, he's been in all the not all the trailers, but he was in like the first like real full length trailer, right. And then from then on in all of them. So and Harrison Ford has said that he wants Han to die, or he wanted Han to die. I'm not sure if his mind has been changed on that, but if anyone is gonna bite it in this one, I'm voting Han.
I think it's probably because every time Harrison Ford takes at least 3 steps, he hurts himself somehow.
It's true. That's true. He did crash a plane and survived, so I don't know. Maybe they'll keep him around. The specific dialogue from the trailer though about I've seen the same eyes in all these years. I'm not sure who or what that would mean.
So some of the theories I've heard float. One of them is that Ren. I think I heard this from you. Ren is Han and Leia's.
Yeah, that's my working theory.
That's your working theory. The another theory that I've heard is that she is Luke's daughter, and that he is just kind of hanging out on Jakku, keeping an eye on her the way that Ben did on him.
Yeah, and I will say she did. It is known that she's separated from her family, at least from the brief snippets of audio, and she is on Jakku. Going through that going through that Star Destroyer.
Yep.
What I'm thinking, Battle of Jakku happens. Luke, Han, Leia, they're all involved somehow, and I think they're going to get separated. I believe, from what I'm thinking, I think Han's going to be gone at this point for years, from the rest of the gang, part of that's because when he gets back into the Falcon, he says, "Chewie, we're home." It seems like he hasn't been there in a long time. And then Rey, I'm taking that as she was abandoned as a child on this planet. Maybe she was with them during the Battle of Jakku.
Sure.
And I think that fits into with what you were saying with Luke. So maybe, I'm kind of maybe thinking about changing that to Luke being her father, because that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Or it could be that Luke's the one that finally finds her.
That's true.
Maybe he's not on that planet all the time. He just shows up with R2 because he's figured out where she is.
Yeah. I definitely think... I think Kylo Ren and I think Rey... I think they're going to have some big relation to the other characters.
Okay.
It's just a feeling I've got, particularly with Kylo Ren. I feel like they're not going to hide his face that much and not be
right.
someone.
People want to see Jar Jar.
You heard it here first, folks. Oh God. I mean, we know he's not a Sith, so
now
it fits.
the other theory that I've heard when they're talking about, one of these characters could be related to someone else from the original trilogy is oh God, I forgot his name.
Finn?
Finn.
Yes.
Finn, whose last name may or may not be Calrissian.
Yeah, and I had heard that theory as well. Here's my alternate theory to that. Now, obviously, Finn could very much be a Calrissian. I think a lot of people are doing that, or suggesting that based on the fact that they're both black. Obviously that's going to fit. But I think he could be a Solo. Now, I don't think he'd be a Solo in the sense of blood, but we know from the Star Wars comics that Marvel's doing that Han Solo has a wife. She is not white. I think that he could end up being a Solo related to her rather than actually Han Solo. From what I've heard, the Marvel comics are going to have a bearing on the movies.
Yes.
So that's what my thought was going to be. Also, random thought. This is just something that I think would be kind of cool if he was a Kenobi. I don't know how it would happen, but I like the idea of his name being Finn Kenobi.
Well, whoever they are, they're not coming fast enough.
Yeah, and I mean, the trailers have been great because I have no idea what's going on. Like, these are all theories. I have no clue. Like, you're doing a great job, JJ.
Yeah, that's my favorite part, is that I've seen probably 15 minutes of footage, and I have no clue what is happening.
Yeah, not at all. They're all very just random snippets. But
and the battle scenes look amazing.
Definitely. And I think the most underlooked thing about Star Wars, not the most, but one of the most underlooked thing is the actual Star Wars. Like, you look at a lot of the lightsaber battles and all that stuff, but space battles are sweet too.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like we're gonna get a bunch of that in this one.
And if you like Star Wars and you like space battles, and you have not read the Shattered Empire Force Awakens prequel series, go pick it up.
Beautiful.
It's 4 issues, and the space battles in it are amazing.
I could literally watch that guy just draw spaceships every day.
Yeah.
And I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. he does some really amazing spaceships.
Definitely.
And that series, you will be introduced to what I now know to be Poe Dameron's parents.
Yes. Also, the tree, the Force tree.
Yes.
I'm betting that's going to have something to do with the Force Awakens. That's just my theory right now.
Yeah. Well, they don't tell us what Luke did with the other one.
Yeah.
Like, we know that the one went with the Damerons, but we don't know where Luke took the other.
Not at all. Yeah. And there was it just one, or was there 2 or 3?
There were 2.
Okay, 2. So yeah, there's definitely another piece out there around.
Yeah. So excited.
Yes.
All right. If we don't stop talking about Star Wars, we will continue talking about Star Wars
Very true.
forever.
Very true.
All right. So last week, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It's a huge reveal.
Giant reveal. And we throw spoilers out here pretty freely, but if you don't want to know who Lash is, you should stop listening now.
Definitely.
And I cannot wait to watch tonight's episode, because it turns out Lash is Agent May's ex-husband,
Andrew Garner,
who is spending an awful lot of time with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and seems to be very interested in helping the Inhumans.
Yeah, and it's weird because he had the opportunity to kill Daisy.
Yeah.
And he did not.
Now, my thought is, well, first of all, the thought that comes in my head is that it seems to me that anytime a full-grown adult meets this Daisy, they form an instant parental connection to her. Which, maybe it's that face.
She's adorable.
It could be, yeah. No, I mean, as soon as you see her, it seems like, oh, I want to parent her. So that my theory is that Andrew just has an attachment to her. Not only that, I think he truly does love May, and I think he knows how much Daisy means to May.
All right, so that in mind, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Why is he killing Inhumans? It does.
I don't know. Like, I mean, if it's the mercy killing thing that dude mentioned, like I guess like that's.
But that doesn't make sense to me when he goes after a guy who is assimilated perfectly into human culture as a doctor.
Definitely Lincoln. Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you
He
kill
was no
that
harm.
guy?
He wasn't like hurting in any way. Also, the 3 Inhumans that I don't know if it's 3 or 2, or the one who floated.
Yeah.
One who multiplied.
If it was the mercy killing idea, I would get that, but he's killing people that it has no sense.
Yeah, and I mean, if I want to believe that it's like a Hulk scenario, not a Hulk scenario, but like a split personality scenario where Andrew, like, he's Andrew and then he's Lash. But the fact that he's lying like he is makes me think that it's him. Like, it's just, when he's Lash, he's Andrew. When he's Andrew, he's Lash. You know, it just seems like he's all the same person.
I don't know, man. We will find out later.
Yeah, I will say this though, when he was presumed dead, the whole time I was sitting there, I hope you know Kung Fu. Please know Kung Fu. Like, just begging for it.
Because we love that guy.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
And then just see, like, it actually hurt seeing him transform. Because I was just like, dang, man, he was so cool. I don't know. I will say this, though, and we said it before, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I will never know what's going on in that show.
Yeah, every time I'm like, every time I've got it figured out, they go the other direction.
Exactly, yeah.
One of the things I love about the show.
Definitely.
I can never... Usually with a show like this, I'm like, oh, that's what's going to happen. And, 50-50 shot, I'm
to an extent
right.
with The Flash and Arrow, like, I've got an idea of where they're both going. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., no clue.
Yeah,
no clue
whatsoever.
So, yeah, definitely a really cool reveal, and I hope it works out for May.
So, let me ask you this. This other faction.
Yeah, the ATCU.
ATCU. What are your thoughts?
Are
they good guys? They bad guys? They Hydra? What?
I think that they are what they say they are. I think they are, like, from the government. I think that they're doing what the government's asking them to do. I don't think they're going about it the complete right way. That, like, I heard her whole spiel about what they're doing to the Inhumans, like, preserving them and all that kind of stuff. And it makes sense to a point, but it's really hard to look at that and not be like, ish, this is, like, terrible.
And see, that's where I'm torn, too. I'm like, this is awful to do this to these people against their will. But at the same time, it's not like these people are just, having a fit and screaming at people.
Right.
They are having a fit and people die.
Exactly. So yeah, it's really like a gray area here. And I will say this: I want to believe in Rosalind.
Me too.
I want her to be what she says she is. I want everything about her to be completely at face value. Also, Phil, you big dork. She likes you, and just little work stuff. Like, oh god, like that. I can't take too much. Like, that was me in high school, but but Phil, clearly she's into you. Come on, man. Come on.
Oh god, poor Phil.
Yeah, and I mean, after the cellist, he deserves someone, and I think, hey, she's got a lot in common with him.
I mean, bring the cellist back. I love Amiak.
Me too. Only if you bring her back as Fred, though.
Yeah. All right. I'll get off on a Buffy tangent, and then we'll be here forever. All right, last thing we're going to touch on this week. Last week's episode of Arrow, which featured John Constantine,
played by the gentleman who played him in the show, whose name escapes me.
But it was the same Constantine, and there was a clever little dig at NBC.
Ooh, I missed it.
He asked for these ingredients, and one of the ingredients is a peacock feather, which he then uses to scratch his back, and he's like, "Oh, that's been bugging me for months or for weeks." Or
oh
something
boy,
like that.
Yeah, I totally missed that.
Just a clever little dig that if you weren't paying attention, you missed. But I thought it was pretty cool.
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah. I had only watched the first episode of Constantine. Myriad of things kind of drove me to not watch it. One of them was kind of the iffy effects, and usually I can look past that, but something about it, I guess, like the lighting or something looked off to me, so I never really gave it a shot again. But I kind of wish I did, because him on Arrow, he was just so entertaining. Like, I loved his relationship with Oliver. I don't know a lot about John Constantine in general.
He's a jerk.
Yeah, and he seems that way.
That's the gist of it. John Constantine does what he believes is right for the greater good, and he doesn't care who has to die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he was way less Keanu than I remember too, which was nice.
I liked Keanu's.
Really? I saw just like the first couple minutes of it. I was young.
I am an unapologetic
scary.
fan of Keanu Reeves.
Yeah?
I love that guy.
Fair enough. Is he the right guy for John Constantine though?
Oh, not at all. But I enjoyed that movie for what it was.
Fair enough.
I got some laughs. The effects were cool. I loved the idea that an archangel was kind of working with the devil.
Yeah.
I always felt like that's a story that could go somewhere.
Yeah, I do prefer British Constantine.
Yeah, he's supposed to be.
Yeah. Wait, he wasn't supposed to be in the Canon movie, right? He wasn't trying to do a British accent that whole time.
No.
Okay, good. Because I was like, that was a huge fan.
No, Constantine is supposed to be British.
Right. Yeah, and I like him like that. Like
and cranky.
Yeah, and he seemed very cranky in that. Oh, there was one great moment in the show where he gets the MacGuffin that he's looking for, and Oliver's like, I got to take something back, and he just rips off this jewel from the top, and he's like, here. They always want the shiny bits or something. And I'm like, so great. Yeah, and I thought it was a really different episode for Arrow because we're getting introduced to all this magical stuff.
Right.
They literally entered Sarah's like mindscape or something, or
yeah,
soulscape?
like her dream space.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was weird for Arrow. Like we never seen that. And Diggle even mentions like, I was just getting my head around metahumans now. This.
Diggle's always been the everyman character.
Yeah.
He's like the filter that we watch the show through.
Exactly.
Like whatever we're feeling, he says it.
Yeah, I loved his reaction to Barry when he's, how'd you do that? He runs away. It's not freaking you out. Yeah, he's a great character. I really hope John Constantine comes back.
I hope so too. And I'll be honest, I did not particularly enjoy the Constantine series.
Right.
But it was more about me than the show. I have a hard time getting into a show where the protagonist is unlikable.
Yeah.
And Constantine's a character that's not very likable.
Right.
That's his character, and that I completely understand that. So the show, I have a lot of friends that love the show, and while the show is probably better than most people gave it credit for, it wasn't for me. Now, watching this cranky, unlikable guy work with a bunch of people that I do like,
yeah,
I found that a lot of fun. I kind of hope that maybe Legends of Tomorrow or even beyond that.
Yeah, I think I wanted. Well, one thing I mentioned to my little brother when we were watching it, I think we should get a Flash episode with him because I would love to see the Flash go against mystical threats.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like obviously he's just been fighting metahumans this whole time and the occasional guy with a cold gun. But no, I think it'd be really cool to see him to face some magic threats because obviously he wouldn't be prepared for that, and who better to help him than Oliver's friend Constantine.
Yeah. I think that would be really cool.
But yeah, I think there's a place for him in Legend Tomorrow. I think there's a place for him in Arrow. I mean, with Damien Dark being the bad guy too, I would almost bank on him coming back for the finale.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, folks, I think that's all that we can talk to you this week.
Yep. It looks like we're quitting.
So I'm Tommy.
I'm
Richmond Comics.
I cut you off.
You did. That's all right.
I'm that cranky today. I'm sorry, guys.
No, that's all right. I'll do it again.
Let's do it.
I am Tommy with Richmond Comics. You can follow my store all over social media at Richmond Comics. You can follow me personally all over at Tommy Mad Prophet.
And I'm Travis from Checkpoint Ahead. You can follow me on Twitter at Sparkman. Nope, I always mess this up, guys. I promise I do have a Twitter. At Spark spelled out man. And you can follow me there, and I'll post a bunch of Star Wars stuff and a lot of comic stuff, and you're going to love it. But yeah, that's it, guys.
All right, that's it for us this week. We will see you on Wednesday.